Welcome, Simsbury sports fans, to the spring 2022 edition of Inside Trojan Football, where we have provided viewers with a closer look at the Simsbury High School football program throughout their seasons. Before we get started, we have some exciting news to break. There's a change here at the stadium. We've rebranded. Simsbury Community Television, SCTV, has gone through a rebranding process and is now Simsbury Community Media, SCM. This new name will come with some exciting enhancements and improvements with the station and productions. I am Roger Coombes, and as always, with me today is Dave Masters, approaching his 8th year as head coach after many seasons as an assistant coach. In this show, Coach will discuss the off-season activities of the program. We'll review the 2021 season, and then we'll look at an upcoming 2022 campaign. We also have about 10 minutes of highlights film from the 2021 season that was put together by friend of the Trojan Gridiron, John Helmkamp. Thank you always, John. Coach Masters.
That's a lot to cover.
That is a lot to cover.
You bring your overnight bag? Seriously.
I just brought a little pillow, I think, that I'll lay my head down.
Take a nap in between.
But we got Coach Masters with us here today, our first edition, spring 2022, April 28th, 29th. So, Dave, I know that the season starts September 9th, but you guys don't rest and relax and play golf. You guys got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we do. And we throw some golf in there too, but we schedule it as a fundraiser.
As an outing. Yeah.
So, yeah, we, just like always, I think we had a better feel this year in December of what we needed to do as opposed to last December when we were coming off COVID. I think that was a big game changer for us in terms of, not really knowing what to expect and nothing to pull from 2020. So now we had some stuff to pull from, and we spent a lot of the month of December kind of getting ready to attack the off season, but not a lot has changed. I mean, the one thing that I would say in the off season that's changed was we still don't do the New Britain weightlifting competition, but that's about it. But we set that stuff up. So, but in December we start our lifting program and our meetings, and we kind of go through it. So we've been lifting 4 times since December, I think. Frankie Gregoire, who
fellow Trojan,
right? Played baseball when I was coaching baseball, and then ended up at Marist. But now he's a strength coach, and he's our strength coach now for the high school.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's great, and the kids love him.
Sure.
He's
looks like 24 years old.
I know he looks like he's their age. You know what I mean? We never looked like that, Rush.
No, I only at the circus when I looked in the mirror that changed my body shape.
Yeah. So he's a good example for him. But he does not only football, but he does the whole. He works with the whole school now. But we're in there every week all year. So we started that in December, and that carries through, till June when we start our summer sessions.
Wow.
And then we'll go 4 days a week there, or 4 mornings a week there. So yeah, we're kind of on that stuff right now. So, and then our leadership meetings and stuff.
And what are those leadership meetings?
Well, we do them once a week in season, where Paul Sullivan, who we were just talking about before the show, Doc as we call him, he and I put together a curriculum for. It's the football piece that's important to us. But as you know, from doing all this and being with the program for 8 years, we put an emphasis on, not just telling kids to lead, but really, putting some pieces in place so it teaches them how to lead. So we start with that in Tuesdays of the season. So every Tuesday after practice, there's 15, 20 minutes where we'll pull in a speaker. We've had Navy SEALs come in. We will have different people speak, or Doc will speak to our curriculum, and then we do that in season, and then out of season, we have a meeting a month.
Wow.
They come in, and I think the first meeting this year we were like, whoa, there were so many kids there because it's voluntary, it's optional. The only ones required to go are the captains applicants. Mm-hmm. So if you're applying to be a captain of the program, you have to. That's a requirement for you for the whole year.
Sure.
Just as the applicant, we don't name captains till the week before the season starts. But if you want to be a captain, you got to go. But outside of that, it's optional, and that leads once a month through the spring, summer, and then in July we go on our trip. This year we're going to Gettysburg for for our leadership trip last year, we climbed up the mountain and.
Yeah, we got some video of that, some pictures of that. That's really neat.
Yeah, we do that stuff. That's good. I think that adds a big piece to it, and I love that piece.
That's a good experience for those young men, and to hear different folks come in and give their, speeches and talks and motivational.
Some kids I think are natural leaders, and can speak and get their point across, and they can either lead by example or they lead verbally, or and there's different styles to leadership. So we don't just present one view. I mean, there's different ways to lead, but there's definitely some obstacles and some potholes to avoid on your way to learning how to lead, particularly your peers. It's not easy to speak to your peers all the time.
Get respect.
Right. I mean, you can do a lot of different ways, and they're not always going to work. So you have to have some tools in the shed. My wife likes to say that all the time. So, you have to have some different avenues to get what you want done or out of it.
And speaking of leadership, you've been into some nice coaches clinics with some nice schools. You went to UConn, you went to UMass.
Yeah. I think one of the fun, we call it clinic season, and it's a big thing in football. I went to one when I was coaching baseball again, but the football clinics, they're all over the place, and you can go, each college has one generally, and then they run these ones that, they're called Glacier clinics, and they're every weekend all over the country. And you sign up and you can go, and you go for a weekend, and it's different sessions each hour on the hour, and you can spend a weekend doing it. Football coaches are way over the top. Let's, to start there, it's a lot, but it's also good. There's mix in the Glacier clinics. You can have NFL guys speak, and college guys speak, and high school guys speak. And, you pull out a few things from each of those. And then each college, like you mentioned, UConn and UMass, they hold a coach's clinic. And then at UConn, I was interested in them with under new leadership of Jim Mora, and they have a former Greenwich high school coach who's working with them, John Marinelli, went out to Arizona, he's coming back. And so I wanted to get a real good vibe and feel for the program. And already UConn's made some good changes because they've reached out to us. Right. I think they're coming in Monday to meet some of our kids. So they've done a really good job, but I wanted to get a feel, so I spent my spring break out there at their practices, and I was welcomed in. And they start early. The guys come in, they eat breakfast, and when they have meetings, and all the things that you as a high school coach, man, that'd be great if you could do. It's not practical or even realistic, but it's pretty cool to see it at that level, and the facilities are beautiful. So that was fun too. But I get some things out of all of those things.
That's awesome. You were there 7 a.m. 5 days to noon.
Yeah.
And that must have been a blast.
Yeah, it wasn't all 5 days, but it was most of that week. And it was, I got to meet the coaches, and I got to, you really, there's all kinds of different things you pick up, whether you're doing your warm-up different. Oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. Look how they set up their warm-up, or, they run their drills. It's just, I get at my stage in my career after 30 years or whatever, the X's and O's or whatever, you can read, look, but how people run their programs, and I like to sample from those at this point, as the head coach. My coaches go to these things in their, in the sessions, and they pertain to their specific thing. The running back coach are going to go to that, and special teams guys, go to those things. But for me, I look at how they manage their programs and do their programs, because we want to keep growing as a program, and that's what it's about. And that's why they present it, Yeah. No one has an original idea, really. It's you're blended of ideas and then meshing them all together, what works for you.
Yeah, I think Coach Mora has really made a pretty strong statement. He wants to get the high school players in Connecticut focused
and they're doing
on
that.
UConn.
They're doing that.
Because there's talent here that really could be utilized. And
they're going to do that.
That draws fan base,
you
too.
You feel that when you get there, so that was pretty cool.
That's really neat.
And then UMass was just this past weekend, and again, it's you're just picking and choosing. And when I went to UConn, there was a former football player of ours working in the program, Jake Rizbatsky.
Yeah.
And he was at UConn, and then there's a former player at UMass running the equipment room there.
Sam Collins.
Yeah. So it's, that's fun for me too.
That's great stuff. Oh, that's good.
And I've been around so long now that you feel like we have people everywhere. You know what I mean?
Coach
so
Sammy in baseball and Jake in football. So that makes it neat. So now that's good for you, Coach Masters. And then spring, summer, the players, they're getting some good action with passing leagues, 7-on-7 tourney, weightlifting competitions, lineman challenge. That's a lot of stuff, Dave. Well, looking at the summer, it's really June, July, August is really full.
We lay it out there, and there's, it's a little overwhelming, and it's not, I just had a meeting with the rising 8th graders and the program. We met before I came here, and, I lay out, there's a slide on there called offered and then required. What's offered to you as a football opportunity and what's required of you that you need to come to, what's a mandatory experience. And there's not a lot of mandatories in these. I feel like if we build a program that kids want to be at and they're getting a lot out of it, and like the leadership, that's not mandatory, it's optional, but we get a lot out of it. The lifting in the off season, I'm not messing with people's seasons, but if they coaches, it can be integrated in that, then that's great. I want them there. But if you're not doing anything, it's an opportunity for you to get stronger and faster. So you're setting yourself up, and in turn, us for success in the fall. So it's about providing opportunity. So when you look at all these things, it looks like a lot, but we do a spring passing league. Now it's on Sunday mornings. If you can go, you can go. And we've had good turnout at that. But when you're trying to develop a team and you're looking for a quarterback, this gives you an avenue. So we have that now. We're going to West Point. We used to do that before COVID. Now we're going to travel back down to West Point because they've opened it up again. And we're gonna do a 7-on-7 tournament down there and a lineman challenge.
Will that be a few days you'll be there?
No, we go down in the morning.
Okay.
We go down in the morning, and then we come back in the evening. So we go down early, we do the tournament, and then we stop for lunch. Kids love it. I mean, it's one of the better times that we have. It's a good connecting. And then I think the weekend before we go is the golf tournament. No. The weekend before we do that is a weightlifting competition that we're going to run with Avon and Farmington. And then the weekend before that is our golf tournament. So June's busy. And then we start our passing league, and, that's optional as well. But so it carries on to the through the summer, but it's all about providing opportunities. I think the thing that is most important, and I would say as a required thing, would be the lifting in the summer. Like, you want to set yourself up for success on that.
Sure.
You don't want to show up at August and not be physically ready to go.
And that helps prevent injuries.
Sure. Well. I mean, it is the injury prevention. You know what I mean? You want to do that stuff now so you can stay on the field in the fall. I mean, what's worse? You get to be a senior, you work all this year and put in so much sacrifice, but then you get hurt because you didn't prepare yourself well enough. That injuries can happen anywhere in any sport, but no matter what you prepare for. But why not take advantage of an opportunity if you have it? So.
Dave, what's the leadership trip down in Gettysburg?
Well, it's the capstone of the curriculum. So what we'll do, and we did it at last year we climbed up Mount Moosilauke, and but before that, like, we take the trip, we take a bus, we stayed at a church last year, and then we stay, on the floor, bring sleeping bags, and there's this big church up there that we stay at 2 years now. And but the night before we wrap up our curriculum. We set our goals on that trip for the year, and they kind of, those kids decide the path in terms of our goals and what our focus is in the coming season on that trip. And we do that. And last year we were and this happened by chance. We were at this church, and a gentleman was there for another event. And he came up and he said, "Is this a football team?" And we said, "Yes." Well, turns out the guy was played at Long Beach, dabbled in the pros, college, but his success was preceded by lots of failures and troubles with potholes and obstacles. And he wasn't his family life was a mess, and he lost his mom, and he was on his own and homeless. It was a wonderful story that these kids got to be a part of and hear, and it was a perfect leadership thing, and that
was unplanned.
Unplanned, and totally, and it was like, I was talking to kids the other day about it, and it was like an unbelievable story, but it was like one of those things that was just, the opportunity was there, and he asked if he could speak, and I was like, oh man, this could go a lot of different directions, but it went in a great direction, and the kids,
that is, you never know.
So it's just, our whole mission is to try and provide lots of opportunities in and out of football all year. So it seems like a lot.
That's the best.
And it is a lot, but it's not all required, but it does provide some wonderful opportunities.
So much more than football.
Oh yeah, as we've talked about a million times.
Which is what I love about your program, Dave. It's amazing. Yeah. And that goes down to the youth leagues. So you've got some youth football stuff from flag to actual pads and hitting.
So the youth league, which is run through the town, and I support any way that I can, is under new leadership now. Gavin Wentworth I think, took over as the president officially this year. I don't know the date, but he's got a good group, a lot of energy. They're really trying to infuse kids, and kids, through our flag football league. We started this league last year on Wednesday nights, where my coaches and players come and run a flag football league under the lights on the turf on Wednesday night. We had over 120 kids do that. They just signed up. It was crazy numbers. And I think that translates into building some excitement for football, gives us an opportunity to talk to parents about how football is way different than it used to be and much safer. And I think it just builds a little excitement and energy, and hopefully that infuses, because you do need a lot of kids to play football in order to have a successful football program. It takes a lot of kids, because there's lots of opportunities. If you really break it down, there's 11 offense, 11 defense, there's 11 kickoff return. There's so many opportunities for kids to be a part of a big, large program, along with the other opportunities.
That's nice.
I just feel like we're doing a pretty good job. And the coaches come to our staff meetings now. Like we'll start a coaches clinic, and they'll come and learn about our offense and defense and how we do things. Then they sit in and they enjoy, they sit in the back and partake in our staff meetings, which we have once a month too.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool. It's a good connection.
That's the connection. It's the feeder system. You got to have it, Dave. And I know in basketball, you'd like the players and the coaches to be running a similar offense, defense plays that you do,
well,
so
helps
the
the kids
get used to it.
You know what I mean? Helps the kids and helps you be more efficient with your time. If they come in set up a little bit for what you have to offer, it makes it.
And it's a carrot for the kids. They see your players, and they're
well,
idols to them.
I think that's the other thing. Like we talk about in leadership, how you're really, no matter what you do, you're a role model for these kids when you walk on that field. So how you behave is you're showing an example. So, be conscious of that
for your players,
as you do it, right?
For sure. Well, that's awesome. That's a busy off season. Now you got some coaching staff changes, Rusty?
Well, we talked about the one that's awesome is Ralph coming back. So Ralph Gilliard, who was graduated in 2018, but 17, as a senior for us.
Yes.
With Jackson, holds all the passing records in the school pretty much. But he's around in the area, and he's coming back to coach receivers with us. He's already been involved in the spring passing league. Kids have already gravitated to him, as you would expect.
Great athlete, very charismatic.
Yeah, super. And he's very conscious of how he is around kids and being a role model. So it's pretty awesome to have him back in the mix. Yeah. So I'm really pleased with that. Coach Cola Giovanni, who'd been with me for 7 years, hung it up. To focus on his family, really.
Sure.
And I think that's about the only change. I mean, we've got Coach Wilkins hasn't been around, but he is around because he's with us all the time.
We love Jeff.
Coach Ritter, who was the Enfield DC, he's now in here kind of a more permanent role.
Last 2021, his first year?
Yeah, it was his first year, and his role wasn't as big as it's going to be next year. So we're expanding his role to do some different stuff. So, and then I think pretty much it's a regular cast of characters, I believe. Yeah, pretty excited though. I mean, we do have a big coaching staff, but it also allows us to really coach. Like you can focus on your one thing and you really can take care of it that way. So we're pretty happy about that.
Will Coach Moose still be your offensive coordinator?
Yeah, he's going to be OC. Coach Fear is going to still remain the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Coach Malqui, who's a jack of all trades and can coach anything, is going to go to the receivers as the unit leader. He'll be helped by Ralph. Coach Addis, who was a former Trojan, is going to take over the special teams coordinator role.
Great punter.
Yeah, great all-state punter.
And in college.
Yep. And so he's going to do that. And then I think that's, that pretty much wraps up the coaches.
Yep. Awesome. Well, good. Nice overview there, Dave. A lot of stuff. Just always amazed at how the football players, it's just so much more than the games themselves. There's just so much more involved. And that's what I've learned doing the Inside Trojan Football with Coach Masters. Nobody more dedicated than Coach Masters, that's for sure. So we've got some film, and it's some film we're going to run of the 2021 season. Again, thanks to John Helmkamp. He helped us out with getting a 10-minute piece together. And while the film's on, you can enjoy it on your screen while Coach gives us a little bit about season leaders, all-state guys, Walter Camp, which is really a high honor, and then fellas who will be playing at the next level in college. So enjoy the video, and Coach Masters will talk us through some of it, and we'll inject some information about who they're playing and things like that. Yeah, that's
on the mountain. Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
Well, you know, the mountain trips are fun, but they're really hard.
They are hard. Oh, yeah. So this game is New Britain at Granby. That was a strange one. Yeah. We had some turf damage with heavy rains, and Granby was gracious enough to give us their field to use on a Saturday instead of a Friday. But that was a good breakout game. It was the Evan Wallace special for sure. Yeah. And you put a hurting on New Britain. They're usually hard-hitting. Well, you guys were hard-hitting that day.
Well, it set the tone for the year, and it was a weird circumstance. I remember going into this, not only coming off the COVID year, but really going, we're now going to play on a field that's not ours. And
Strange gets stranger.
In the middle of the day, which is unusual for us too. We don't usually play in the day.
Night games.
Whoa, there's light. You can see something. So, I mean, we got the youth kids all around. It's crazy situation, but also pretty wonderful to start off that way. The tricky piece of starting a game and that, you know, leads you to this game when it's that lopsided in our favor. Don't really know what you have.
Yeah.
And then you come to Hall, you start off the game with this, and you're still thinking, oh, yeah, is this, you know, are we?
That was the opening kick.
That was the open, play. And then then reality sets in.
Turnovers.
Reality sets in, and then football comes in, and a high-level team like Hall, who's well-coached, you know, can come and set the tone. But what we did do was start to establish some of the players that were going to be our go-to guys started to come out in this game. John Myrano, Evan Wallace, you know, the kids that are, you know, eventually ended up being all league and all conference for us. You know, you start to see what you have in a game like this where it's back and forth. You know, we were basically, battling this game the whole time, and then some turnovers at the end and had us losing, you know, to a great team. And then so you end up in the mix, so to speak. So, you know, when we go through our all conference guys, you know, John Myrano was an all conference guy right there. He's running it, you know, and he just doesn't go down. He also is an All-American wrestler, as he was, you know, this winter.
What a great season.
You know, so that's Evan Wallace, who was also all conference, you know, and, you know, we'll talk about where he's going in a second, but that's a kid who, you know, we really got to use his tool set, which, you know, he was a runner and he really made good use of that. And that's where he's going to play. So, you know, he's going to go on to University of Maine to play Division I football, not as a quarterback, but he's going on the running back board. So, you know, pretty cool. They, you know, they saw his, you know, what he was really gifted at, and they're going to put him to use up there. So, you know, high school quarterback, D1 running back. So that's kind of exciting.
That's real exciting. For us he is a powerful runner too.
That's a great play by Austin Coro, who's going to end up being one of our go-to guys this year.
He's going to be a leader.
He's got a lot of energy. He's got
good athlete.
Good athlete.
Plays hoops.
Always in the right place. Knows what to do instinctually. He's good.
His dad's a great guy too.
Yeah. Zach Truding was our defensive leader. He led in all defensive stats. He's also All-State as a linebacker and made the Walter Camp team.
That's a high. Is that your first Walter Camp guy?
No. Ralph was a Walter Camp and Tommy was Walter Camp.
Tommy Guilfoyle. Yep.
So, you know, Tommy's playing at New Haven and Ralph went to Southern. You know, both of those guys.
Sure.
Division II football. Noble's another guy right there who is going to
He came on strong.
Yeah, he came on strong.
He's got wheels.
Yeah, he just ran a 10.9 in the 100. So
wow.
He'll be, you know, that's next level speed. So, you know, he'll be a guy that we go to and are going to try and utilize. So, like I said before, we're trying to we have a better understanding of what we have going into 2022 than we did 2021, simply because we have this to pull from. which is great.
Is this the game Evan got hurt?
Enfield? No, Evan got hurt in Southington. When we were winning.
Okay.
And things went a little south on that.
And your center is James Love, right?
James Love, yeah.
I have such respect for offensive centers. That is a tough job.
Well, it's smart.
Gavin Butler was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Love had a great season.
Well, and he got recognized at that as an all-conference kid too. And he, one of the more it's a high honor. He got a national scholar from the National Football Foundation, which essentially puts him in the College Football Hall of Fame. He'll be enshrined down there
so cool.
in Georgia, which is pretty cool.
That's real.
cool. And that's based on grades. It's based on their community service. It's based on their recommendations from teachers, administrators.
There's the
coaches.
brothers.
The brothers.
Oh, I love
One got
those
really
guys.
skinny. One lost a lot of weight for wrestling.
That's great for James because, linemen don't get a lot of love.
No.
So it's good to see James get some love.
That award I nominate them, and then they've got to fill it out, and the guidance counselors have to write recommendations.
Oh, that's
and stuff. So it's
awesome.
pretty cool to have him in there. But
Very
he was
cool.
definitely the anchor for our team, on that side of the ball. And then Zach Truding, we talked about, but Drew Hunter,
Yes.
which on the defensive side was another all-conference kid for us.
Linebacker.
Defensive line.
Defensive line. I'm sorry.
Totally dominant, along with Mason Swilly, who we see in there, and there's Drew is 58. That's CJ Taddeo coming on. We had some really good seniors that contributed towards it. Yep, that's at Connor.
That was a
big
win. Game 7 of the season.
And Isaac Rivera just popped in there, and I was waiting to talk about Isaac because he's the guy in the Southington game that really kind of saved our bacon, who for 3 years really wanted to be a quarterback. Tried every year to do it and could throw a great ball. But he was such a good athlete at other spots. We try to balance out and make the whole thing work. So we felt like we needed him to be a more versatile tight end, receiver. He had some roles on defense. So there he is making a play almost for a safety. But he was an all-conference kid too. He had a great season.
He did.
A lot of these seniors are going to be hard to replace, so we've got to step up again. The good news is we've seen some of these younger kids, we've gotten them into games, and so we kind of know, where the talent lies on it. So
here's Isaac with his first game as quarterback?
Yeah.
Or maybe second. This is the game.
He came into Southington.
Oh, he came into Southington.
Yep, and then for East Hartford, this was his job. And so East Hartford playing good football, this kid, unbelievable, Isaac Rivera came in and really we took what we were doing with Evan and then changed it all basically so he could be successful. So one of the things Coach Moose does great, Coach Fury does well, all of the coaches do well and make an adjustment based on what the kid brings to the table. Not every puzzle piece fits in the same spot. So you kind of have to navigate that and really play to your strengths in terms of what you got.
Had to be tough for him.
Oh yeah, it was tough. Garrett Dejanay, another kid that's coming back that we know we can count on. We feel pretty good about our defensive line. A lot of returners on that line between Mason Swilly, Garrett Dejanay, Will McCusker. There's Drew right there.
Nice.
Yep. So that was big plays all around. So those guys are going to be hard to replace. But the good news about this year, we got to see some of those guys. There's Isaac in his quarterback spot.
Yeah.
Again, running. Now he's a kid that's on track, super fast. He's running speed events for us at track too. So there's a good shot. Well, we missed it, but there was a good shot of the new defensive line coming in.
I see.
The younger kids that got a lot of time. And so that's kind of what we're
Isaac's going to go to Salve Regina?
Yep. So the kids going to next level are Evan Wallace, who we talked about going to Maine, and then Zach Truding is headed to Salve Regina.
There's Coach Masty's.
Threw my shoulder out. I had ice up for that one for a week.
Truding at Salve.
Truding and Isaac are both going to Salve Regina. Well, it's not a lot to not like about Salve Regina.
Yeah,
and Newport. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah, Corey looked at
they do a pretty good job of football too. They're pretty competitive there. They play a good schedule. It's
There we are. There we are.
New stands are going to have to wait.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I heard.
And then Jaden Swilly, who was injured for his senior year, based on his speed alone, size, strength, and his play prior to this. Oh, this was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, changed everything.
What
Jeremiah.
a play.
Yeah. Interception to end that one, and we needed it. So that was a great play by him. Yep.
Who was it that came down with that, number 14?
That was Jeremiah Hughes. Yep. Jerry Hughes.
This is home. This was senior night, I believe.
East Hartford?
Yeah. Game 9?
Most likely. Yeah, because we went to Bloomfield after
Sure,
that.
yeah.
And then
We won
the other
17-14.
Yeah, the other
Squeaked
kid
it out.
that going to end up going to play at college is Garrett Lynch.
Garrett
He's
Lynch.
going to North Park University in Chicago, which is a good story. Garrett is a guy who really loved football and really played for all the right reasons. He's the guy, like, if you were walking off the field, Garrett would be the guy picking up equipment, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, like the whole time. You know, it was kind of remarkable.
Well, that's
And so he ended up
outstanding.
playing in college, you know, busted his butt.
That's awesome, Dave. That was a nice video and good piece there. You did a nice job. I just want to say one thing is, and you know already, Dave, but the team was 5-5 last year. Your 5 losses were to 5 teams that went to the state tournament. 3 of them went to the state finals. 1 of them won, and the other 2 lost in the quarters. So you're not playing the Sisters of the Blind here on Friday nights.
It's a tricky schedule, and we had the philosophy, you know, when you play a schedule like ours, which is the best, and which we want, you're going to have tough games, and you're going to lose to eventual teams that are going to go. And you know, we had this conversation too. If someone's beating you, you're rooting for them to keep going. Like we played all those teams well. We felt good.
Yep.
You know, we felt in Hall. We made some early young mistakes that we fixed. You know, Maloney,
Second game of the season.
Maloney, who won the state championship, we
Yeah.
felt like we dropped 2 balls that, you know, we could have scored and won that game. So like,
little
woulda, shoulda, coulda.
things. Yeah.
But who's to say something wouldn't happen on the other end?
I
I'm just saying it was nice to see us compete against teams. We didn't really back down ever. You know, Windsor, super athletic, fast team, but we stayed right in there. Bloomfield, you know, they ended up the same, you know, in
Getting
the,
to
in
the
state
Class S championship.
You know, and they do
lost
every
to
year. It's
Cromwell
a tradition,
Port,
right?
yeah.
Which is a great team. You know?
They were undefeated during the regular season.
Yeah. So, you know, our wins and losses are what they are. We're competing, and you know, every year for us is going to be a battle because our schedule is harder if it could be next year. You know, playing North Haven now and Norwalk now, which the head coach of Norwalk is Moose's best friend. So Coach Moose and him are best buddies. Talk football all the time.
Yeah.
And now by some chance, some
They're
divine
playing.
intervention, they're playing each other, which is, you know, kind of a unique. And then Newington and Manchester are back on the schedule too. Bloomfield drop off, so we won't play Bloomfield anymore at the end. And Glastonbury moved to that position, you know, our Thanksgiving Day game. Since we lost Avon, replaced it with Bloomfield. And then we mixed everything up. And
You got Manchester in there too.
Manchester back with Coach Roberts, who's a friend of mine. And, you know, we played for years, and that was a blip there off there. I'm glad their quarterback's gone because he was good. They had a quarterback last year, was really good. Yep.
Wow. Tough schedule, Dave.
Yeah.
Tough schedule because you start out at North Haven, then you got Maloney and Norwalk at home, and then you go to Southington. So that's a tough 4 game right out of the gate.
North Haven runs an offense we are not familiar with. We're spending a lot of time on that right now. Prepping for it because it's unique to them. They're the only ones that run it, and they run it well. You know, well, they're the best in the state at running it. So, you know, that'll be a tall task. And then the Maloney, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So,
Returning Class L champs.
Yep.
So that's a nice little update on the season. You've got a program that's growing every year. Tell us a little bit about the program, and I'll move forward with your numbers and some of your depth.
yeah. Well, the numbers are up. You know, I think we're going to have a huge, there were 40-something freshmen that came up from Henry James today for the meeting, and that's just the start. So I think that number, and we had heard it might be around 40 or 50 to 60 kids, freshmen, which is unheard of nowadays, to play football, which is great. We want it all too.
Of course.
We want all that, and we can manage that.
Could you dress 50 for freshmen?
Oh yeah. We can manage, and they can play, as you know, and we'll make sure that we do a good job by them so they're progressing at the right time and then playing. and we can have all that. And then before the freshmen, we had 85 kids on the roster. That's a lot. That's a lot of numbers.
Rising seniors, juniors, and sophomores.
Now you're talking about the freshmen, sophomore, and juniors that are now taking the next step. So
so it could be 85 plus 40s.
Yeah, I mean we plan for big numbers. We've been building towards that. Our highest point was 138, and we were ready for that. And with our coaching staff of 20. We feel like we can handle it. Each coach has a position group. So within that large number is broken into segments. So if I'm the D-line coach, I know I have a group of 20, whatever. Yeah. So it's all broken up. And those coaches, part of our structure is those coaches are intimately connected to those kids. They meet with them individually. So, they put on a calendar when they're having, and those unit meetings are happening now too. Like the defensive line unit, Coach Danko had a meeting on Monday night through Zoom. They all came in, and he's in charge of those. He runs those. So our structure is set up so it's individual coaching all throughout the year too. So that helps them, and it helps also manage that large number of kids that come in and gives them that individual coaching. So it's not just group things all the time. It's much smaller than that, broken down.
Because you've got them already somewhat tunneled to where they'll play for you.
Yeah, but we also, I think the best tool you have as a coach, one of the best tools you have as a coach is a kid that's passionate about what they're doing. So you want to play quarterback, Roger Coombes? I'm going to have you try out at quarterback. We're going to work some other positions. So if you want to get on the field and quarterback's not the time, it's not your time, then we have these other options for you too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, we did the same, we've done the same thing we did the same thing with my son when he was, he didn't really take over until he was a senior.
Yep.
But he was ready then, but we had him doing some other things.
Sure. So who still holds a lot of passing records at Simsbury.
Yeah, all of them, I think, season-wise, career, because he only played that 1 year.
That's true. Yeah. Who's QB next season, Dave?
No, we've got some guys competing, but
that was a loaded question.
We're not going in with a defined number one. Like when Jackson, we knew he was going to be our quarterback.
Or Aiden.
When Jackson Butler was going, we knew when Aiden. But right now we're in a battle. So we have Charlie Strayer battling for it, Travis battling for it, Drew Dacey battling for it, Patrick Matizak, who's a younger kid.
Nice.
So we got a lot of Drew Deviney is coming in there. So
that's excellent.
We've got guys that are going to compete and want to be, and they're in those QB rooms learning it, and then you get your spot when you can take over and rise to the top. So
running backs look nice with Chad and Noble in there.
Experience and
speed.
Noble was super
there
speed,
too.
Noble's a super fast kid. Chad's a tough kid. Another all-state wrestler kid, just like his brother was. So he's a tough kid who runs hard. Noble's a tough kid who runs fast. So that's good. And we'll work some other guys. We have some other younger guys that'll pop up in there. Jacob Isabel, Brody Mills, or come to mind. But they're all they'll have to prove themselves too in that regard.
And then the line those were a lot of seniors on that.
All seniors. Yeah, we're gonna be rebuilding that. Coach Moose is taking over running the offensive line, so he's the unit leader for that now.
And QB Moose.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my role is to not take a role because it's tricky when you're the head coach of a program of this size to pigeonhole yourself and you can't be committed every day, that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna help out with the QBs during practice, whereas he'll be more setting everything up. So
that's a good.
He's
idea.
setting the table for me to help. So, but the line will, they're big, and they're strong, and they have experience, not varsity experience, because offensive line is not a position you switch on and off during games. You have personnel groups with receivers; they'll get a lot of reps.
Line
personnel groups
consistent.
with D line, you'll get personnel changes. But offensive line, those guys are going to be in there for the whole game.
Interesting. Why?
They work so integrally together. They're tied together. They're the biggest group. They're the one that has to work seamlessly together in order for us to be successful.
That makes a lot of sense.
Injuries really impact an offensive line until you get used to that. So when in the pros in college you see injuries come up, that's why an offensive line will struggle. And offensive lines that are successful have a tendency to have been played and been together for a considerable amount of time. I think that's one of the unique things that makes that line special. We treasure linemen at our school.
Yeah. Yeah. You've had some good ones. That 2019 line was amazing, and the 2020.
Well, we take pride on that. Ever since I've been there, I always thought that was the most important thing for us to focus on.
And then you've got some players coming back, Ben Roberts, and then Ravi. Nice inside linebackers. They had some nice minutes in junior year.
Right. And it's hard when you're not going to bump Zach Truding out too much, and but we did get some time with them, and both dedicated kids. They don't miss much. Both captains applicants, both trying to great leaders, and so and they have good examples to follow. So. And
you mentioned my guy AC Austin Cairo. Plays hoop too.
Yep.
I like him. He's tough.
Yep.
He's quick. He's competitive.
He and Daniel Sullivan will be the leaders in that group.
Another hoop player.
Yep.
Did you remember at the hoop game, when you were there right on the sideline, and Danny Sullivan went flat out and dove for the ball right in front of you? It was like a scrum or anything. You sat there like. You didn't. I thought you were going to get up and just go. There's my guy right there.
You wanted me to? You want?
What?
I try and stay equal in emotion.
You did.
You know me, right?
It was right. You were right in the camera.
I'm calm.
I even said to everybody, "Look, there's Coach."
I'll tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking, "Oh, I like that." That's aggressive. And that's one of the things that we're working on. Being aggressive when it comes time to. You want the ball, go get it. Make it.
Oh, he did. Yeah. That was one of the biggest flat-out dives of the season. He went on to hardwood.
I'll have to re-look at the tape and.
You should check it out. I think it was East Catholic maybe.
I'll get a little more emotional for you.
Yeah, that was funny. So then the defensive backs need Noble and Austin. And Chad as well.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people that will try for the safety position. A lot hinges on where other positions are filled too. You don't want to tax your guys that are running up and down the field, so you don't want Austin to have to do double duty. All right, so he's on one side of the ball running sprints each play, and then he's on defense running backpedaling sprints each play. There's a lot that goes into that, balancing those things out. So that's why we do a lot of personnel groups and stuff like that.
That's good. That's a lot. Well, good. That looks good. I'm getting excited. It's good to get to know some of the guys, too. So when we do our games on Simsbury Community Media, we'll have a little intel coming in. So now the Gridiron Club, Liz Butler, hardest working gal.
Been with us a long time.
That's what you get when you get three boys.
Yeah, good boys, too.
All good athletes.
Well, you've seen Shane. Shane's another.
Yeah, I saw him play freshman hoop this year.
Big Butler coming through, and he's got a lot of potential. Great athlete, big body.
Yeah.
But Liz and I don't know. Liz has been the president now since 2018, maybe, I think. And so she and I work seamlessly, and the Gridiron Club's excellent.
You have a great group there with the Garrities and everybody.
They work so hard, and they've set up the golf tournament on the 4th again. They're recycling cans. They're doing things for the community all the time. Yeah. They're just a great group.
They really
have a lot of energy, and they really care about other. I think one of the things that I'm so impressed with them, they always think of other programs as well. Like how is what we're doing going to impact other programs in the community, and how do we work together? I think that's remarkable. And I think there's that insight and that looking towards, the Simsbury athletics as a whole, which Jeff Pinney, our athletic director, talks about all the time, is, in one big community.
Sure.
And we're a piece of it. And we want to be a strong piece of it for sure, but we're also sharing.
Absolutely. So, that golf tournament's great. That's a fun day. Yeah. They work hard at that. There's some great door prizes and
our prizes have gotten crazy.
Oh, some good stuff. It's really nice. So good shout out to them.
Our MC's pretty good too.
I heard he's got some skills. You got him from Hollywood, I think. Big, tall, goofy, blonde hair guy.
We like him. We're going to keep him around.
I enjoy it. So anything else, Dave, you want to wrap up with? I know you had youth football camp.
Yeah, we have a camp. We have our camp coming up in June, which you can register through Simsbury Rec Department. We have our flag football, which is Wednesday nights in July.
For the youngins.
For the young. This is all just youth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 2nd through 8th grade. And our camp is run by our players, with our coaches doing the instruction.
The kids gotta love that.
I think they do. I mean, I know our camp. As soon as December hits, Coach, when's camp? Can I be a counselor this year? Can I run a team? They want to run because my players are the head coaches for flag, so they work intimately with those kids, and then my coaches are the refs. for a flag, and then it's just great. It just gives everyone
on the turf field.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great time!
So when they come to the high school, they have some friends. They're connected.
Yeah.
We talked about that already in the meeting today. When you start football, you're 3 weeks ahead of everyone. And, you got Austin Corro, you already know him.
Yeah.
And you're a freshman, and hopefully that builds that connection.
Sure, you see him in the hallway. Maybe,
yeah, right.
Maybe AC gives you
He's my camp counselor. Oh, now I'm on the same team with him. Like, it's a good connection. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we cut up?
I'm just very excited for the season. I'm anxious to get going.
Yeah, I bet.
And I love the off season almost as much as the in season stuff. Though for me, it's a time to
team building.
Right, it's to connect with the kids.
Yeah.
And the season is very focused. You got the blinders on. Even when my son was going through, I say it was one of the hardest years I've ever coached. Not because we had a great record, he played great, but when you're going through the situation, you miss a lot. You don't enjoy. I didn't enjoy 2021 till after. I didn't enjoy my son's senior year till after. I didn't enjoy
because you're so focused.
You go back to whenever, and you think after the season, oh man, that was really great. I wish I had taken a breather.
Yeah, no doubt
about it. So,
well, good, nice job, Coach Masters. It's so much fun to do these with you.
Yeah, we do enjoy it.
And so this wraps up our first edition of the 2022 Inside Trojan Football here at Simsbury Community Media, SCM. I'll be getting used to that. We look forward to our next Inside Trojan Football. Would be great, maybe, Dave, the first week in September. Before your September 9th tip-off. Mm-hmm. And as a reminder, all our games and these coaches' shows can be viewed on simsburytv.org, or you can go to YouTube and just plug in Simsbury Trojan Football or Simsbury Trojans Inside Trojans Football. They'll all come up.
It pops up.
Yeah, from all years ago. Mm-hmm. And as always, want to thank the fine folks here at Simsbury Community Television, Patrick Phelan, for all the time and effort he does. He ramps this thing up here. The board, Don Colantonio, got us this neat set. Mary Glassman does a great job as president of the board. But nobody better than Patrick Phelan. He's just elevated the product for Simsbury sports tremendously, giving us a really professional feel and look. And things are really going to pop here over the summer. There's been some grant money that has been graciously awarded to Simsbury Community Television. Mr. Phelan with the board are really going to do a nice job remodeling this whole studio, and the product's going to improve.
You're going to have your own dressing room now? Is that what
I'm working on that. Yeah, I have to talk to Tom Roy and see if he'll build one out for me. Yeah. No, but it's fun. So, Dave, great job. Looking forward to
Roger.
June 4th. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll pray for good weather, and hope we didn't run too long for you guys. But for any players and parents coming up, you got yourself one guy that your son is in good hands with, and the hardest working guy at Simsbury High School. I'm telling you right now, Coach, your dedication is unmatched.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it.
And you know I mean it. Yep. Coach both my boys in baseball, and he's the best. All right, so that's it, Coach, as we always do.
Go Trojans.
Trojan pride, brother.
There you go, baby.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.